Something very dangerous just happened behind closed doors in Trump world. A digital scandal that could have put American troops in harm's way. Yet almost nobody knows about it. It involves some of the top names in Trump's inner circle. We're talking about names like Pete Hegseth, J.D. Vance, Tulsi Gabbard, and even Marco Rubio. But what makes this story truly disturbing is how it came to light, and the sheer recklessness of those involved. You're not going to believe who was accidentally looped in, or what was being casually dropped in a group chat like it was a fantasy football league. Before we reveal the full story, we need to set the stage. Right now, the Trump administration is deep into its second term, and if you've been paying attention, you've probably noticed a worrying trend: increasing chaos and secrecy surrounding foreign policy decisions. Over the past few months alone, Trump officials have ramped up strikes in the Middle East with little to no public explanation, raised eyebrows in the intelligence community, and repeatedly sidelined traditional diplomatic processes. And while Trump publicly continues his bombastic rhetoric, behind the scenes his inner circle has been quietly pushing an aggressive, hawkish agenda, from expanding operations in Yemen to stoking tension with Iran to flirting with new deployments in the Red Sea. It's become clear that major military decisions are being made in an unusually secretive and often sloppy manner. Just last week, leaked intel hinted at unauthorized covert operations in North Africa, and earlier this month, anonymous sources in the Pentagon expressed frustration that the White House is bypassing standard channels for approving airstrikes. Now, imagine this environment, and then imagine if you found out that these decisions were not just being made in secret, but discussed like lunch plans in a group chat. That's right, a Signal group chat. And not just any group chat. This one included some of the highest-ranking officials in the country, people who are supposed to be safeguarding national security, not spilling it. So here's where things get truly surreal. Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, revealed that he was accidentally added to a private Signal group chat involving Trump administration national security officials. Let that sink in. The editor of a major media outlet was suddenly inside an 18-person Signal thread, where some of the most sensitive conversations in government were taking place. Goldberg says this all started when National Security Advisor Michael Waltz inadvertently added him to the chat earlier this month. At first, Goldberg thought it had to be a prank, or some elaborate disinformation op. But as he scrolled through the messages, it quickly became clear this was real. Inside the thread were Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, and other top Trump officials. And they weren't talking about casual politics or press strategy, they were discussing war plans. Then, on March 15th, things escalated. At exactly 11:44 a.m. Eastern, Hegseth casually texted the group with precise details about U.S. airstrikes planned for Yemen, set to take place 2 hours later. We're talking target locations, weapons packages, and even the timing of attacks. Yes, you heard that right. The Secretary of Defense shared operational military details in a group chat with an unintended outsider present. Goldberg says that's the moment it all became truly bizarre. 2 hours after that message, the U.S. carried out the exact strike Hegseth described, confirming to Goldberg, and now the world, that the Signal chat was legitimate. The editor promptly left the thread and began contacting officials. And what did they say? According to Goldberg, National Security Council spokesperson Brian Hughes confirmed the chat was real and told him, "This appears to be an authentic message chain, and we are reviewing how an inadvertent number was added." In other words, yes, the defense secretary shared war plans in a Signal thread. And yes, a journalist was added by accident, and no, apparently no one noticed for 4 days. Even more shocking? The NSC tried to spin this by claiming it showed deep and thoughtful policy coordination. But it gets even messier. Inside the chat, Vice President J.D. Vance expressed serious concern about the timing of the strikes, writing, quote, "I am not sure the president is aware how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There's a further risk that we see a moderate to severe spike in oil prices." In the very next breath, however, Vance said he would keep these concerns to himself and go along with the team's decision, highlighting the kind of groupthink that leads to disastrous outcomes. When Goldberg reached out for comment, Vance's office insisted the VP unequivocally supports this administration's foreign policy and that he and Trump are in complete agreement. And what did Trump say when asked about this? Predictably, the former president pleaded ignorance, telling reporters, "I don't know anything about it. You are telling me about it for the first time." So, to recap, the defense secretary leaked details of an active military operation over a group chat. A journalist was accidentally included. Nobody realized it for days. And instead of sounding the alarm, the administration claimed it was a sign of good coordination. This isn't just incompetence, it's a full-blown national security disaster. And it raises urgent questions about who is really in charge, how decisions are being made, and whether Trump's inner circle is recklessly endangering lives. At a time when tensions are rising across the globe, the last thing America needs is amateur hour diplomacy conducted via Signal chat. This story should be on every front page in the country. But if the mainstream media won't keep pressing, we will. Because this is how wars start and how democracies fall.